a peer review of the FRQ that was due last night. So just as a reminder, you had a practice FRQ due on Thursday night. It was the Theories of Development practice FRQ, so it looked like this. You had some reading to help you out, but basically it was comparing Wallerstein's world systems theory with Rostow's stages of economic development. So there were 7 questions. These are the 7 questions. And you were supposed to plan your answer as well as write your response here. So you are going to take this document, your completed document. You're going to partner up with someone who also has completed their FRQ. If you haven't completed your FRQ, you can't have a partner at this point. You need to work on this or until you have one done, and then pair up with someone who is maybe also finishing up. But if we can't, if it doesn't work for everyone to have a partner, then form groups of 3, and you guys can each exchange like in a triangular way. So you come up here, take your FRQ, share it with your partner, have your partner have a copy of your FRQ, and then you're going to head to that unit, or sorry, not the unit, the Friday folder. Okay, so we're in the Friday folder, Friday, March 25th. And in this folder, you're going to find, obviously, this video, but you're also going to find the peer review form and the scoring guidelines for the FRQ. So you're going to get your partner's FRQ. You're going to open this up. You are going to write down who you're reviewing. And if you can, it would be actually helpful for you to put a link to their FRQ. And then you're going to go through the actual scoring guidelines, which are also in the folder, and you're going to give them either 1 or 0 points for each part. You're also going to write a comment as to why you gave them a point or did you or not give them a point. So you need to have something in each section here that explains why you gave them the point. And it might just be referring back to like, where did you see it line up? So I do want to go over the scoring guidelines. They are a little bit confusing. And if we were doing this in class, like if I was in class with you, we would go over these pretty specifically. But I do want to let you know that this FRQ was difficult. So this is not meant to be an easy FRQ. When this was given a while ago, when I don't remember what year this is from, but the scores on this were really low. So I just want to let you know that there are some difficulties here. So the first parts A through C ask you to identify and compare one difference between the stages of economic growth and the core periphery model. So 1 point is given for difference compared in parts A through C. In order to earn the point, you must make the corresponding comparison. So remember, if we're comparing something, we need to say, well, Rostow's model does this, whereas Wallerstein's model does this. That's one comparison. That's not 2. That's one comparison. Now, you also can't jump around this chart. So you couldn't say like Rostow's says that national economies are developing forward over time. They don't ever move backwards. But Wallerstein's emphasizes the role of colonialism. Okay, that's not a comparison because it's not comparing in the same category. What you do need to say is that this one's moving forward over time and this one can move backwards, whereas this one can't move backwards. So these are the answers, the appropriate answers. Once again, they're pretty difficult, and it's okay if you don't get all the points here. We'll kind of review when we get back on Monday, the following break, and just make sure that we're kind of on the same page with this. One thing that you would not have gotten a point for is you would not have gotten a point for saying Rostow's has 5 stages and Wallerstein only has 3. So although that's a true statement, it doesn't show that you know anything about Rostow and Wallerstein and the differences between them. So when you're answering FRQs, even if you can come up with something that is correct or just like an accurate statement, doesn't necessarily mean that it is. You want to remind yourself that the purpose of you taking this test is that they're assessing your knowledge, and so that wouldn't be like a really good assessment of your knowledge. All right, so then moving on to part D. Using one of the 2 models, identify the stage or place that either Mexico or Brazil would fall in the model. So Mexico or Brazil, although you don't necessarily know much about Mexico or Brazil's economy, those are kind of key words for kind of middle income countries. Mexico and Brazil are neither the least developed countries, nor are they the most developed countries. And so you need to accurately, depending on which model you're using, you need to say that they're either semi-periphery within Wallerstein, okay, or there's a number of acceptable answers for Rostow, but you'll notice that you can't say stage 2, you can't say stage 5. You have to say something kind of in between here. And then using the model and country from question D, explain why the country falls into the stage or place in the model. So here are some acceptable answers. You, once again, whether or not you said Rostow's or use Wallerstein's, you're gonna, here's some acceptable answers. And then give an example of how the core periphery concept can be applied below the national scale. So what this means, remember our conversation of scale, is both of these models can be applied to a nation. Both of these models can be applied, Wallerstein's model can really be applied globally, but they also, so the core periphery concept or Wallerstein's world systems theory can be applied at multiple scales. And that's one of the, I guess, the pros of this model is that you can actually apply this model to a city. You could apply this model to a region or a state. And so you need to explain how that core periphery concept could be applied to any of these things. So for example, if you're applying it to a city, you might say that the central business district is really the core of a city, whereas the zone of transition or the suburbs is the periphery. If you're applying it to a country, you might say a populated area or a region of a country is the core, whereas the less populated region of a country is the periphery, or the productive area or region of a country, whereas the less developed, impoverished region is the periphery. So that's how you're going to do that. I don't expect to see a lot of 7s on this unless you really, really understand this. But that is what you're going to do. You're going to score your partners. Once you've scored your partners, please check in with them and let them know how you scored them. And then for the rest of the hour today, you're allowed to just kind of work on test corrections or work on whatever else you need to get done for the rest of the week. All right, have a great day and have a great spring break.